Yeah, so we will get into the content now, self-sabotage, confidence, all the good stuff that goes along with that.
Mhm.
So, my question that I think we can center around on for these topics is starting off with self-sabotage. For
Right.
you, Esosa, what would you say that looks like for you, either currently or like, I think maybe in the past, if it was more of a struggle for you, like what did that
Yeah.
look like?
So I'd say ultimately self-sabotage is, exactly what it sounds like. It's sabotaging yourself, your own happiness, your success, your peace, right? And I find that a lot of people end up doing that because they're in unfamiliar situations that might feel uncomfortable. Anything that's, foreign, your ego mind kind of says, "Oh, that's unsafe." But unfortunately, anything that's, new, anything that's outside of your comfort zone, that's foreign, right? Which isn't necessarily a negative thing. And for me personally, and we've talked about this before, but in the past, I was in like really toxic relationships, especially the relationship right before this one was really toxic, definitely the most. So for me personally, going from that to, being with my soulmate, it was a big jump. And although I felt ready and like I'd been through some healing, at the beginning of this relationship, I still had a lot of healing to do. And he really pushed me to do that too and made me face certain demons that I didn't realize I even, still had to deal with. A lot of times when you go from, I'll say, relationships as an example, because that's something a lot of people can relate to. But when you go from a toxic relationship, you're uncomfortable with the new, you're uncomfortable with feeling happy, with feeling supported, with feeling, like you can trust that person because it's something that you've never had before, right? So that was really trying for me because I had to push myself to face these demons that I had buried, ones that I realized I had and ones that I didn't realize I had. And, I had to start to learn to be comfortable with being happy and comfortable with being with someone who made me feel, respected, adored, loved. It just everything was new, everything was different, and in a good way, but because you're not used to that, it almost feels like it's not safe. And that's your ego mind again trying to protect you and be like, "Oh no, this is unsafe." But actually, that was the safest relationship. And this is the safest relationship I've ever been.
Yeah, wow. I relate to you so much about that. We've talked about this in past
Yeah.
conversations about how like I also went through a emotionally abusive, it wasn't even a relationship because they didn't want to commit. So,
Mhm.
but it was, yeah, it was hard. And so as you were saying, you get used to feeling unheard. And so when you get into a healthy relationship,
Yeah.
then when you're with someone who's actually treating you well, I found that for me, I wanted to sabotage it because it felt unsafe, it felt unfamiliar. And for me, like it's my relationship, it's been 3 years now, but even still, sometimes it'll come up and I'll like want to sabotage something, this great thing that I have because of past memories and past patterns, basically.
Mhm.
And that's what self-sabotage can look like for me for sure. And yeah, it's crazy how like being with someone toxic can cause you to still behave in a certain pattern for years and years down the line,
Yeah.
unless you really like look at it and realize you're doing it. So I think bringing awareness to it helps a lot. And yeah, I just can't believe like how much we relate on that. I think self-sabotage can really show up in relationships, especially romantic or even friendships, maybe too. It's something to be aware of where you realize, okay, wait, I'm with someone who's actually a healthy, like stable person. So why do I want to ruin that? Why do I want to like behave in a certain way that's going to
Yes.
sabotage that? So I think, yeah, that's like a big thing that I've noticed for myself.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women too, we kind of get used to, relationships not going a certain way and failing to the point where we expect that. So when we realize that that's not happening subconsciously or like unconsciously, we create these situations or scenarios, whether in our head or like physically creating them or verbally creating them, where it almost pushes that person away from us, or it pushes them, towards that. So like if we're used to someone cheating, we start accusing that partner of cheating, even though, there's no evidence of them doing that, they're not doing that or whatever, but you're so used to that. And that's like what's comfortable for you. I feel like to grow, we need the discomfort, but a lot of us have a low tolerance for discomfort now, especially considering we're in a digital age where everything is instant gratification. You can scroll right now on your timeline, and I'm sure you're going to see someone with a Ferrari, you're going to see someone who just got engaged, you're going to see someone with like each of your goals, right? So you physically can see it. So you think, oh yeah, like I can have it, which yes, you can, but you're like, I want it now. So we're not used to like that gap, that delay in time, and the delay in the growth that we need, the discomfort. We get so afraid of being discomfort, being uncomfortable, that we end up self-sabotaging. And I think there's a difference between temporary discomfort and the discomfort that is unsafe. And I think that temporary discomfort is necessary for your growth. If you run when things feel scary and when they feel uncomfortable, and you don't sit with it long enough, you're going to lose out on the lessons and the benefits that it could have, because there's growth, there's lessons to come from all of the pain that you've had. Because I'm sure like that, relationship you talked about, that, or I guess it wasn't really a relationship, but that situation that you talked about, the same way in my like toxic relationship and relationships in the past, I learned something from it, whether it was about myself, whether it was about other people, but I learned something. And that wouldn't have been able to happen had I not been able to sit in the discomfort, whether that was in that relationship or in my new relationship. Well, it's not really new anymore, but
Mhm.
in this current relationship.
Yeah, there was something you said there about how self-sabotage, it can seem like a bad thing. And like it definitely isn't a helpful behavior, but I think maybe a silver lining that comes out of it is that you get to connect with your partner deeper when
Yes.
you realize you're doing these things. And
Yes.
for me, like definitely acknowledging my behavior to my partner has helped a lot for us to have like deeper discussions. So yeah, I was just thinking about how like, okay, what would I have been like if I actually didn't experience that previous relationship?
Mm.
I don't know. We may not have had those deep conversations. And also, as you were saying about like, if you run from discomfort, then I think what can happen is it'll end up like catching up with you anyways, because there are certain lessons that we came here to learn on this planet, and ultimately they're going to benefit you. And I think it's good to see like the silver lining in how it can lead to deeper connections with people if you had
Exactly.
gone through some bad situations in the past.
Yeah, I love how you said that too, that it can allow you to have that deeper connection with your partner, because I feel like it gives you that extra accountability and awareness. So you're now aware of what you're doing and you're acknowledging it to them, and they also can hold you accountable. So certain times where things are happening, they can tell you, hey, this, I feel like this is like one of those self-sabotaging moments. How are we going to get through this? And allows you to understand yourself better and them to understand you better.
Hmm. Absolutely. So, what were some things that kind of helped you recognize the self sabotage and get through that?
Yeah, definitely a lot of awareness, first of all, and self reflection. So going back and thinking about, so when this all happened, it was around the beginning. I don't even know if you can say the word. I'll say the icky, but everyone knows what I'm talking about. So it was around then, right? And that was honestly the start of like this current relationship. So I
Mhm.
had a lot of time for reflection regardless. And when I really thought about it, I thought about past relationships, role models of relationships and things like that. And I started to see certain patterns. I saw patterns in them, and I saw patterns in myself. And I realized when certain, and also like, my boyfriend let me know too, in certain situations, like certain things that I would say or certain things that I would do. And I started to realize that, okay, yeah, these are self sabotaging behaviors because I don't feel like it's safe or I'm worthy of being in a healthy relationship. This feels new to me. And like, I feel like something bad is going to happen. So I'm
Mhm.
like, it's almost like you're guarding yourself and you're protecting yourself in
Mhm.
case something bad does happen. Like
Yep.
you're preparing yourself for the worst, right? So I started to realize that I was doing that. And like once you're aware, you can start to address it. So it's not even about doing everything all at once, but it's about the small mindset shifts and starting to realize, like I realized, okay, yeah, I'm uncomfortable, but some good can come from this. So just growing and allowing yourself to feel your feelings. I always say, allow yourself to feel your feelings and never suppress it,
Mhm.
because the sooner you go through it is the sooner you're going to come out on the other side and you're going to learn something from it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm such a proponent of allowing emotions and letting it out because it's just going to stay in your nervous system. It's just going to come out
Yes,
later on and you'll feel better once you get
exactly.
it out.
100%. Yeah.